Welcome to another edition of the Destination Fantasy Podcast. This is week 5. I'm your host, Jamar Goodman. Hey, it's just me today. It's just me. So, all right, I won't keep you too long. We got games starting early, very early. Um, but before we get into that, we're going to recap Thursday's game. So, we got the Rams and the Seahawks. I mean, it was what you expect from a division game, right? Close, hard nosed. With these two teams, the Rams offense was on display. Even Robert Woods owners, I know you're excited, ecstatic, thrilled as you should be. 14 targets, 12 catches for 150 yards. Robert Woods did his thing. He did. Cooper Cup was, he was decent. 7 catches, 92 yards, I believe. But the main thing to take away was Russell Wilson's middle finger injury. Like, I didn't, when it happened, it looked pretty bad. But now, in the aftermath, he's out at least 4 weeks, possibly 6 to 8. So, looking about a month or two, Seattle's season in general might be down the toilet. Geno Smith comes in and he looks electric. He, just give more value to DK Metcalf, right? Caught his second touchdown with him. Tyler Lockett was solid as well. It's just, when you come in, abruptly, there's no game plan for you. So he played with house money. It's just more so going forward when teams actually, they got film on you. When they actually start the game plan for you, it's like, well, like what to expect, right? So right now, I mean, it seems promising, but I would still, start these guys between, Metcalf, Lockett, whenever Carson comes back. But you just take it with a grain of salt because you don't know what to expect yet. All I can say is, get well soon, Russell Wilson. The team is not the same without you. And playoff hopes probably just went down the toilet too. So, all right, let's get into today's games. We got our first international game. We haven't been back to London in a couple of years. Jets versus Falcons. My question is, is Cordarrelle Patterson, is he going to be the international star? I mean, he's been a fantasy star this year, right? Running back 3 on the season. Last week with the 3 touchdowns, let's be honest, we didn't see this coming. But for the most part, ever since week 2, Cordarrelle Patterson has been like stellar. So I guess it's just the question is like, can this hold up? Is this just flashes in the pan, or this has some long-term value here? Because let's be honest, the ones that picked up Cordarrelle Patterson or just happened to draft him really late in deeper leagues, I mean, and still has him, like, you're thrilled. You are happy. But you also are concerned, like we don't expect this to hold up, right? So I would say this. So there's no Calvin Ridley today. No Russell Gage, not that he had any real impact this year. So for today, and against a Jets team that, hasn't looked good at all this year, except for last week when they, showed some grit and beat the Titans somehow. I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson, he should see, quite a fair share of value today. Cal Pitts should too. It's like Matt Ryan has to throw the ball to somebody. I get it. Jets had 7 sacks last week against Ryan Tannehill. I don't expect them to, produce the same outcome. And even with that, Tannehill still threw for almost 300 yards. So someone has to catch the ball. Patterson has done the most with his opportunity. I know Mike Davis owners, even though he scored last week, he expected more out of him this season, but Cordarrelle Patterson has, stolen the show. The return specialist has become a primary fantasy football option right now. And going forward, I'm not saying he's going to, finish top 5, top 10, but I think he has some real fantasy value for the rest of this year so far, just based on how their offense is operating. Why not? I mean, me personally, I have him in one league, and I dropped him in another league, and that was before last week's game, and I kicked myself for that. I know better now. It happens. So, so yeah, Cordarrelle Patterson has a chance to be a starter today. Maybe whole world might know him. We'll see. As far as the Jets, I mean, I do feel comfortable starting the Disney Channel quarterback. Um, but mainly, and that's more so in streaming leagues. Um, I think Corey Davis. I think he has a pretty good game like he did last week. I think that continues today. All right, so we're gonna move on here. All right, Packers Bengals. Jair Alexander is on the IR. We found that information out yesterday. For the Bengals, T. Higgins is coming back. I feel like this game is gonna be closer than what people think. Packers on paper should win this game, but with Jair Alexander out, who is arguably a top 5 corner in the league, and me being a Bears fan, I don't like admitting that, but he's that good. I mean, I don't see why the Bengals pass catchers can't go off here. I mean, the Packers defense isn't as stellar as last year by any means. You can definitely throw the ball against them. So, I mean, I feel comfortable starting T. Higgins today. Definitely feel comfortable starting Jamar Chase. I mean Tyler Boyd. I mean, he had a great week last week. Granted no T. Higgins, but still, why not? Now the ones with Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. I mean, I'm not. I'm not feeling it, but lack of better options. You have to. I get it. And of course, on the Packers side, you starting the regulars, so you just keep that moving. Moving on. So this game is kind of near and dear to my heart a little bit as well, because if I can help it, both these teams can lose, or at best tie. But I know that's not going to happen. Dalvin Cook, he is a game time decision. I mean, at this point, you already did what you had to do. Either you have Alexander Madison or you have some other options that you filled in during the time that Dalvin Cook's been out. So, I mean, if he plays, I mean, he should have a Dalvin Cook-like game, maybe, unless they're splitting carries with him and Madison if he comes back, which starting to hear. So, but regardless, if Cook plays, you got to play him. That's just what it is. Lions side, I am looking forward to DeAndre Swift. That's what I'm looking forward to. TJ Hawkinson is questionable. He's like maybe more closer to truly questionable than he is like expected to play right now. So, I mean, DeAndre Swift is a top 10 running back. I think he's running back either 6 or 7 right now. I don't see why he can't have a great game. I mean, the Vikings have found themselves ways to lose games this year, and it's a continuance of last year. Kirk Cousins has been balling out as far as fantasy perspective. He's been balling out. Do I expect that to continue today? Yes, but I also expect DeAndre Swift on the other end to do his thing. And Jamal Williams, he might be able to find the end zone. I mean, Cephas might be able to. I just know the Vikings give up a lot of points. Their secondary is on, the closer side of trash. We know how the Lions are. We know how they operate for decades now. But this Lions team has found ways to be productive, and DeAndre Swift has been the main beneficiary of that production. So we will see. Next one here. All right, Broncos and Steelers. I'm on record of picking the Steelers to win this game. Yeah, somehow, some way, I just feel like them being at home. They always play hard. Somehow through adversity. I mean, they never had a losing season in Mike Tomlin's tenure. This year, I mean, there's no like 500 record, so you're either going to be a winning team or a losing team as far as your record is concerned. So we'll see there. But as far as this game, Teddy Bridgewater, it seems like he's clear concussion protocols, expected to play. Cortland Sutton's questionable. I need him to go. I mean, Steelers, so far their defense hasn't been spectacular outside of week one. But, at the same time, it's like, I don't know how, productive the Broncos offense is going to be today. So with everybody between Sutton and Patrick and Font and Williams and Gordon, I mean, can they score some points? Sure. Do I expect them to be as productive today as I have been in past weeks? No, I don't. Steelers side, we got Claypool back. Juju, Deontay Johnson, I like. Even though the Broncos secondary is legitimate, I still like him though. Najee Harris, I'm okay with that. But this is one of those games, primarily you're tempering expectations. It should be a hard-nosed fought game. All right, we're going to move on to a Florida matchup. We got the Dolphins and the Bucks. I feel like it's business as usual for the Bucks. Dolphins have underachieved this year. Doesn't help that, Tua's out, and I know that hasn't, panned out to be the greatest thing in the world for their team and fantasy-wise. Jacoby Brissett just hasn't been playing any much better at all in his absence. So basically, business as usual for the Bucks. Myles Gaskin has been a big disappointment. Big disappointment. Deshaun pointed that out in our Facebook group. I checked the numbers. I mean, entering this week, he's running back 41 in the PPR setting. So, and a lot of people drafted him to be, at the bare minimum between a flex and a low end to mid RB2, and he's not even that right now. It almost seems like a waste of a draft pick right now. But we'll see what happens. But it's not going to get any better this week. The Bucks run defense is stout, so good luck with that. You can pass on. It's just more so can Jacoby Brissett get the ball from point A to point B, which could be Jalen Waddle because he's explosive. Devontae Parker. I mean, we've seen him make big play after big play in his career. Mike Gesicki, maybe. It can happen. It's all about getting the ball from point A to point B. That's the only way that these players today are going to have fantasy values. All right, so as you know, every week, me and the crew, we have bold predictions. First one is from Walter. He basically says Jameis Winston rebounds with 3 touchdowns today. As you all recall, the Saints laid a big egg last week, somehow lost at home to the Giants. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, like Herm Edwards said, that's why we play the game. So I mean, against the football team, I mean, I can see it. The football team's defense hasn't lived up to what we thought they were at all. They've been disappointing as well. Outside the front four, secondary is getting torched left and right. They gave up a lot of points to Atlanta last week. I mean, Saints offense at times are capable of putting up a lot of points. So I can see this. Alvin Kamara, I feel like he should have a great game if James is given the ball, especially in the passing game. And, Saints wide receiver pass catchers, whoever steps up, they can have a good game as well. It could be Callaway. It could be Juwan Johnson. Traquan Smith. It could be somebody. The problem is we don't know who that somebody is. So that's why Kamara's the safest bet on this. Jameis can put up 3 touchdowns today. I can see it. Flip side, man, Antonio Gibson, I am like, it hurts me. It hurts. I like this dude, but the production hasn't been there. He is expected to play. J.D. McKissick, he's questionable as well. So I mean, if for whatever reason McKissick doesn't play, maybe Antonio Gibson gets more touches. Maybe he just more so needs to start finding the end zone. That's what got him a lot of fantasy value last year with his 13 touchdowns, 3 on Thanksgiving Day, which I'm still thankful for. I am. I mean, and as far as the quarterback, Taylor Heineke, he's from a fantasy perspective, he's actually been doing pretty well. I picked him up in my 2 quarterback league that I've been playing for over 10 years now. I picked him up. He's playing very well. And of course, Terry McLaurin, he's like the second coming of DeAndre Hopkins as far as being quarterback proof. DeAndre Hopkins, through his career, has been through numerous amount of bad quarterbacks and still puts up numbers. It seems like Terry McLaurin is not missing a beat with Taylor Heineke, so feel good about Taylor Heineke and feel good about Terry McLaurin. I know he has a tough assignment today, but it seems like he has plenty of targets to make up for that. So we'll see what happens. All right, next one here. Eagles versus Panthers. Now, don't be alarmed, but what's on the screen? I know it says Sam Darnold is Cam 2.0, and I only mean that as far as him finding the end zone with his legs. I believe he has 5 touchdowns in the year. He's leading the league in touchdowns for a quarterback. I think in general, as far as rushing touchdowns. I mean, but honestly, ever since he got away from Adam Gase, Sam Darnold has been balling out this year, and I'm happy for him. Surprisingly enough, DJ Moore has been balling out with him and not Robbie Anderson. You would think Robbie Anderson would have more targets because, they played together in New York. But, I mean, I saw a meme that said he doesn't throw to Robbie Anderson because he reminds him of Adam Gase. I found that hilarious. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, DJ Moore has been balling out. And Robbie Anderson owners I get it. It's kind of like Robert Woods owners, but at least Robert Woods, was resurrected on Thursday. I mean, maybe Robbie Anderson can do the same today. I don't know. I mean, against the Eagles, I mean, he has a perfect chance to do so. Darius Slay. It's probably going to be on DJ Moore. So, I mean, if that's the case, Robbie Anderson has plenty of opportunity to torch this Eagles secondary that has been torched outside of Darius Slay. That's just what it is. Jalen Hurts, he might have a tough go today. I have him in the league, and I feel like I have to, grit it out, grind it out. No shout to Urban Meyer, but I mean, I feel like he'll get close to his numbers, his projections or whatnot. Maybe he might exceed it. I just know he's going to have a tougher time to do so because Panthers defense is starting to look pretty good. I know they traded for Stephon Gilmore. He can't play until week 7. But even besides him, like the secondary's been great. The front 4 has actually been really good. This might be a tough day for the Eagles. But nevertheless, I mean, if you got Jalen Hurts, you're probably starting him. Unless you have a spectacular backup option, you're starting Hurts. All right, so next game. Speaking of Urban Meyer, we got the Jags and the Titans. So A.J. Brown is playing. Julio Jones is not playing. Jags defense is atrocious. You can run on them. You can pass on them. You can, I don't know, do the hokey pokey on them. You can do everything on them, apparently. So Derrick Henry should clock in as business as usual. I would expect A.J. Brown to have a great game, especially since, Ryan Tannehill has a familiar face back that he can rely on. So I expect Ryan Tannehill to play better than what he did last week. And for the Jags side, I mean, I will say this. The Titans secondary, I pointed out last week before the game, you can pass on them. Corey Davis was a big beneficiary of that. I don't see why Marvin Jones Jr. can't be, or Laviska Shenault. I don't see why. Trevor Lawrence might actually have a top 10, top 5-ish fantasy that he might. I'm not saying he is, but is it possible? Absolutely. It is definitely possible against the Titans defense. So we'll see. We will see. Urban, stay strong, man. All right, next one here. Patriots at Texans. Look, this is basically, I'm not just going to spend too much time on this. Damian Harris, yes. Basically, you're feeling good playing New England players in this game if you have to. New England defense should feel really good about this game. And of course, the only real person that you can play on Houston is Brandon Cooks. So let's keep it moving. All right, a game that's near and dear to my heart. As you see all the Bears stuff around me, I am a diehard Bears fan. So David Montgomery, he's out 4 to 5 weeks. Hyperextended knee sprain, whatever you want to call it. Just us in Chicago. Glad it's not a ACL injury, but I didn't think it was based on how the injury occurred anyway. So next man up, Damian Williams. Damian Williams is a capable running back. Damian Williams arguably could have been a Super Bowl MVP when the Chiefs beat the 49ers a couple years ago. He played that well. Damian Williams is a vet in this league. Damian Williams can run the ball. Damian Williams has pretty good hands. He can be a 3-down back if he wanted to. Damian Williams should have a lot of touches. Bill Lazor's calling the play. It's not Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy hasn't touched the play ever since the Browns game. And let's keep it at that if you want to keep his job. You can run on the Raiders. You can. That's been displayed as Austin Eckler last week. You can pass on the Raiders. You can do that. As long as the game plan is tailored to the run, I expect Damian Williams to actually be productive today. And for the ones that picked up Damian Williams off the waiver wire, congrats. You're going to have a productive player for the next month. You should. You should. You should. Raiders side. I mean, of course, you're starting Waller, the baller. You're doing that. Henry Ruggs, I feel comfortable starting Henry Ruggs. I do. I mean, I know Jalen Johnson has been quote unquote an island, but outside of that, like, you can pass on the Bears. I don't like to admit that, but you can. Derek Carr, like, I know he's been a stud. And he might be a stud today. He just might. But what I do know is the Bears are the number one team. They're leading the league in sacks with 15 of them. 4.5 by Robert Quinn, 4 by Khalil Mack. That's 8.5 sacks right there. They actually showed up. And last time I checked, when we played the Raiders last, it was 2019. We were 3-1. I thought our team was, getting ready to make another run for the playoffs. That was the year after the double doink. Anyway, they punched us in the mouth. The Raiders punched us in the mouth. So I'm hoping the defense steps up. And if that's the case, I would temper expectations with Derek Carr. But once again, Derek Carr, I mean, he can still come out there and, be surgical. But I do remember last week. So take Derek Carr with a grain of salt today. And then pass catches for the Bears. Mooney, Robinson, I feel like they can have pretty good games. Justin Fields in general could have a pretty good game. Depends on, what's going on. So we'll see what happens. Go Bears. Browns and Chargers. I mean, this has a playoff matchup written all over it. I would say it's business as usual for both teams. And I mean that as in you're starting the guys that you normally start. But I would say you are, tempering expectations a little bit because both defenses are actually pretty good. So this can either be a defensive bout, this can be an offensive showdown. I'm not sure exactly what to expect in this game, but you're going to start your guys. I have Keenan Allen in one league. I have Mike Williams in one league. I have Kareem Hunt in one league. I'm playing them all. I feel like both teams are good enough that to where these guys can still be productive and still make it a hard-fought game. So you're playing your guys. All right. So next game here, we got our second bold prediction of the day. It's from Deshaun. Kenny Golladay finishes as a top 10 wide receiver this week. Heck, I can see it. And here's the scenario. Dallas and their offense is going to come out and light up the Giants' defense, which in turn means Giants have to keep pace with the Cowboys to stay in this game or try to catch up. So I know Kenny Golladay doesn't see Marshawn Lattimore anymore, but Trayvon Diggs, I mean, he's been balling this year. But even still, like you can pass on the Cowboys. So I can see Kenny Golladay having a great game. I can also see on the flip side, on the other side, as far as the other wide receiver on the Giants, Kadarius Toney. I can see him having a really good game. There's no Sterling Shepard again. There's no Darius Slayton again. That just means more value for him. Evan Ingram, as talented as he is, he hasn't been relevant at all. Not saying that he can't be, but just based on the evidence, he hasn't. So Kadarius Toney, I mean, he might can have the best game of his young career so far today. I can see it. Daniel Jones, surprisingly enough, has been a top 10 quarterback so far. I can see him having a great game. Basically, I feel comfortable playing a lot of players in this game. Of course, you're playing your Cowboys players. And also the most pleasant surprise at the tight end position, Dalton Schultz. I mean, he's been sensational. He's been finding the end zone. They're using him like they used to use Jason Witten back in his prime. He is doing his thing. And that's just more so predicated to all the weapons around him. When you got Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb who's getting all the attention, guess who's one-on-one? Dalton Schultz. And guess who's the quarterback? Dak Prescott. Simple as that. And when Ezekiel Elliott is actually running the ball like with purpose and not looking like he's stealing money, then, I mean, that's just add another extra element. So, hey, feeling good about everybody. And Dalton Schultz going forward? Yes. I'm all in. And he's out. And people that has him, I guarantee they are happier than George Kittle owners. Speaking of that, 49ers and Cardinals. So George Kittle, he's on the IR. George Kittle's going what? Late second round, third round this year. There's a lot of upset George Kittle owners. So I asked the question. So in our Facebook group this week, I asked the question: who's been, the most pleasant surprise and the most disappointing person? There was a lot of George Kittle answers. Rightfully so. He had one decent game this year. Outside of that, he was nowhere to be found. And we already know he's, injury prone, so to speak. So this is just insult to injury. And that's why when we were doing our rankings this year, and you see rankings from other places as well, I had Kelsey 1, Waller 2, Kittle 3. And I know it was close. Some people prefer Kittle to Waller. I'm like, okay, I prefer Waller to Kittle. I mean, I guess what gave me, my reason, what was the deal breaker? Availability. And that has been the issue with the 49ers. Availability. At the running back position, you know what? They have running back 4 right now. Elijah Mitchell, he's playing today. Trey Sermon's playing today, but, Moster's not. Jeff Wilson Jr. is not. I mean, the list goes on and on. With that, Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, besides his, game manager, lack of big play ability, reliable when he's playing, but we know his biggest issue is availability as far as actually being able to play. That's this team's MO, availability. So with that being said, here's my bold prediction. Trey Lance scores more fantasy points than Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray, I mean, he's a superstar. He's probably going to, as of right now, is the leading candidate for NFL MVP. Not even fantasy MVP, just MVP. And he can definitely be the fantasy MVP, that's for sure. Between, you know, the weapons he has with DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green, Williams, the tight end, who actually starting to have some value here, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk every now and then, Chase Edmonds, James Conner. Like, man, like, this is all gelled together. And, his ability to run the ball and just extend plays and the deep ball accuracy, like, this man is sensational. Some people call him Mighty Mouse. I call him Baby Yoda. Whatever you call him. I mean, he is sensational. But my thing is, on the flip side, the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, as far as the bold prediction here, Trey Lance, like, he has been, the moments that he's been on the field, he has looked sensational. Sensational. He has 4 touchdowns on the year already. And that's, he's not even winning the starting quarterback. 4 touchdowns on the year. I feel like we're going to see something special here today. That's just my opinion. I feel like he's in a great situation. I feel like Deebo Samuel's going to ball out. Whoever's that tailback, whoever's in the game at the time, I feel like they're going to have a good game. And more importantly, the main reason for my prediction, I feel like the Niners pass rush might give Kyler a little problems today. I could be all the way off here. That's why it's a bold prediction. But I just know division games, like, teams play harder. They really do. So, I mean, I just feel like Trey Lance is going to be a stud, at least fantasy football wise, this year. I just feel it. I don't think Jimmy G gets his job back because I feel like Trey Lance is about to ball out. So we will see. All right, and so this game here is probably this. It is the game of the day, by far. By far. I'm actually going to have some popcorn ready. I am going to just make sure my schedule is clear for this game. I mean, look, just think about it. Bills are 3-1. Yeah, Bills are 3-1. Chiefs 2-2. If the Bills win this game, they'll be 4-1. Chiefs be 2-3. That's a 2-game gap plus the tiebreaker, so technically a 3-game gap. I'm saying this for the record. If the Bills get home field advantage in the AFC, they're going to the Super Bowl. If you have to go through Bills Mafia, upstate New York, in January, they're going to the Super Bowl. Health pending. Throw that out there. All right, so I feel like this is the game where Stephon Diggs actually, put up Stephon Diggs numbers from last year. Last week, he actually, was very productive. He did everything but find the end zone. I feel like Josh Allen is going to ball out. I mean, let's be honest. I feel like everybody on both sides of the ball is going to ball out. Kansas City is, even though, their record's 2-2, they should be 4-0. There hasn't been a team to really slow down their offense yet. The 2 games they lost, they literally gave them away with turnovers. So I expect their offense in prime time at home on Sunday night in front of America to actually, show up and show out. So I feel like they're going to ball. I feel like Bills Mafia, they're going to ball. So this is one of those games where yeah, you feel comfortable playing everybody that's fantasy relevant in this game. All right. And then the Monday night game, Colts, Ravens. I expect Lamar Jackson to ball out. I do. I really do. Colts defense, like I know that they're not trash. The Colts defense is not trash. I just feel like they're on the wrong end of a perfect storm with these matchups and these games. Now, granted, they showed up last week. It was against the Dolphins, who has been underwhelming all year. So, that being said, Lamar Jackson and the boys, they actually have been playing really well. Really well. Even though they're down to their fourth or fifth string running back. And they don't have Marcus Peters on their side of the ball. And he's still getting it done. Still getting it done. So yeah, Lamar Jackson for sure. I think Mark Andrews, continues to be productive again this week. Latavius Murray. I think he finds the end zone tomorrow night. I do. As far as the Colts, it was definitely a nice welcoming for Jonathan Taylor last week. Like, thank you. No, seriously, thank you. I've been waiting on you. I mean, I still like Taylor today. Michael Pittman, sure. Outside of that, I'm not comfortable with anybody. I know Pascal, he has a knack of finding the end zone. But I know maybe he hasn't done so recently, but he's still a red zone threat because that's Carson Wentz boy in the red zone. Mo Alley Cox, I know he had a pretty good week last week. We haven't heard that name all year, but maybe not. I'm more comfortable with Ravens players today by far. I mean, for tomorrow by far than Colts players. So yeah, that concludes that. Like I said, just me today, but that's all right. Hope it was fun. As far as the podcast, I mean, as many times as Deshaun said it in the past, I'll repeat it one more time. Find us on Apple Pod, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, other platforms, Pandora too. Streaming live, YouTube, Facebook. But to tell you the truth, you can find all this at one site, and that's our website, thedestinationfantasy.com. Please check it out. You won't be disappointed. And once again, thank you all for your support week in, week out. Thank you all for the interaction in the Facebook group. Thank you all for everything. We are continuing to grow, and we want to do so with the people that support us. So good luck today with your matchups. Good luck to my brothers. And good luck to myself. But until next week, Jamar, peace out.